Crypto markets are dumping hard. And if you're still in the markets, no doubt this is hurting your portfolio. And you're probably wondering what you should do and whether it's right to stay in the markets or just to sell and get out because crypto's over. Well, today I'm going to give you some of my thesis, why I think crypto's not over and why I think there is a positive light still to come. Now, none of this is financial advice. This is just my thesis and my view on the markets. I've got lots of charts that show positive signs for the near future and why not to panic dump. But that's just me. But if that sounds good to you and you want to hear more, come join the show. Yeah, a bit of a bloodbath today. Around 1.98 billion longs liquidated in the past 24 hours. We saw around a couple of billion liquidated over the past few days as well. So, probably getting close to around 5 billion in liquidations on the long side. But does that mean that we're getting closer to the bottom of this move? Well, many would tell you that we're nowhere near the bottom of this move. Okay, and many will tell you that we're going back to 60,000, 50,000. So some people even calling for 30,000. But what we've been looking at on this video, on this channel, is we was looking at this cup and handle neckline as support and being retested for a second time. Okay, and we was looking at holding the 100-week EMA. It was holding here perfectly fine for absolutely weeks. I haven't done that many videos recently because nothing had changed really, so there was nothing to talk about really. What we're seeing now is we have lost the neckline and we have lost the 100-week EMA. What happens next, I don't know. I've still got this key support resistance zone, which is the previous all-time high of around 69,000, and then you've got the highs here from back in April 2024, which is around 74,000. So you've got a lot of support there. We haven't yet broken this low here at around 75,000. Okay, that was the previous low. So at the moment, technically still a higher low, but I do expect that we could come down a little bit more for sure. Could we get a rally? I mean, the RSI is quite heavily oversold, and one thing I would say is, when the RSI, let's look at the daily, when it's come down to these levels before, as we can see here, you do get a lower low. Okay, we came down, we've got a lower low, and is this RSI going to keep pushing down? We don't know. It's difficult to tell. But this is not the point of my video today. I'm not a technical analyst that trades the near term. Okay, I'm looking at what's going on cyclically and what are the signs telling me for how the rest of this cycle plays out, and continuing to look at Bitcoin here. Now, look, I'm always happy to admit when a certain thesis idea hasn't played out, and one that hadn't played out, which was hoping that was going to be the low there, was these death crosses. Okay, death crosses don't tend to call the low. That death cross has not called the low, so that's it been invalidated. Okay, it's breaking down further, so the low is going to come in somewhere further down, and we don't know where that is yet. Okay, and then we lost this pattern as well, and we're starting to lose these lows, and quite strongly in fact. So there could be more pain to the downside. Okay, Mercury retrogrades as well didn't call the up move on this time. Okay, and looks like this one's a down one. So next Mercury retrograde is around the 26th of February. So we'll see when we get there where we are and what we're doing. On a more positive note, this is a chart that's been knocking about. Okay, this is a Wyckoff schematic. Okay, and it's this pattern. I remember Marty Party, got a shout out to Marty Party on this one, because I remember him sharing this around Christmas time, and he was calling he had marked it off there as a January 15th high. And I think it was 10th or 15th anyway at the time he had marked off, but he had it pretty much pinpointed there, and then it's coming down. Okay, and this could be a spring. Okay, that's a little bit of hopium there for you, I know, but what you tend to get in these patterns, okay, it may seem like it's breaking down, and everyone will be convinced that it's going a lot lower, and then what you get is the spring, which is the lower low, before you get high volume come in and push up. But we're going to have to see whether the buyers step in here, aren't we? But while we've been hanging on the edge of our seats wondering what Bitcoin and the altcoin market's going to do next, we also have had our eyes on the precious metals and gold, okay? And gold, you know, we had our eyes on it going up to the 4618. So it's got there, it's got to the 4618, and it looks like it could be putting in the top. I mean, that's quite a wick there. I mean, you know, never say never, but you know, I mean, it could, you know, the next fib target I have up there is 5618 at around 6,000. Okay, I mean, look, I said it met resistance and support at most of these fib levels so far, and now it looks like it's got a heavy rejection on the 4618. Pushed past it with some power there, but got, you know, it's been rejected down, and we're going to have to see how this plays out over the coming weeks for sure. Now, we're looking at gold, we're looking at silver, and we're looking at copper, okay? So as you can see, gold led the rally, okay? Silver quickly caught up and just went on a monster move. And then we've got copper here, okay? And if you flatten that down a little bit, to be honest, because it's not as volatile as that at the moment. It's more like kind of there, okay? So if copper's going to follow silver and gold like it does cyclically, okay, there could be more of a move here, okay? And we're going to look at the charts a little bit closer to see where we're at with that. So here we go, we've got silver, okay? Silver's been making a big move. This is on a monthly, okay? And it's broken out from, you know, a high, technically, that's been there. So I'll move that out of the way. Really, since 1980, okay? 1980, then you had 2011, and this is finally the big breakout of what looks like a big, huge cup and handle pattern, okay? And yeah, so will it reach up to here? You know, 147, 148, that is potential. Keep your eyes on it. It's going to be really interesting to watch the metals over the coming weeks for sure. But like I say, look, very wicky now. This is on the monthly, as I said. Okay, it met the 2618, and it's a sharp pullback. So let's see if the tops are in for gold and silver as we go through the next couple of weeks. And then looking at copper, okay, so copper, it's been trying to break out above, you know, 450 for, you know, many years, okay? And, you know, in recent times, over the last year or so, it's broken above it, and it's tried to, it's retested it, and it looks like it's starting to break away. This is a very, very positive sign. And you're going to understand why as we go through the next lot of charts. What we want to see is gold and silver come down and copper make its move, because copper is an indicator for risk markets, okay? And I'll show you that now. So this is silver copper, okay? And you can see over the years, okay, we've got the ISM down here, down below, okay? And what you can see is it's making a significant low right now. Now, if you look at some of the significant lows of the past, okay, I won't talk too much about September 2024, but you've got August 2020, August 2016. Obviously, 2020 was the precursor for 2021's bull market. And then obviously August 2016 was the precursor for the 2017 bull market. If you're in crypto, you know these cycles, okay? But we can go back further, okay? I mean, you can go back to 1999, 2000, okay? 2007, early 2007. Obviously, the stock market topped out late 2007 before the 2008 crash. Okay, so, and what you can see is these peaks and troughs matching up with the ISM, which is a big part of my thesis of what I'm looking at and why I feel like there's still plenty of room for this to run into the end, into this year. Okay, it might take time. We might need to find a bottom a little bit lower than where we are now with Bitcoin, but I do believe that the ISM will turn up eventually, and that will give us a great indication for risk markets. Like I say, in previous tops, 2021, 2017, okay, you know, the rest is history, literally. So yeah, and then if we look at copper gold, okay, now copper gold, this is what I'm saying, it's a very good indicator, because when copper gold tops and bottoms, so do risk markets, and the ISM seems to play along with it. Okay, now you've got the RSI for copper and gold right here at the lows, like it was in 2020, 2016. You know, all of these lows were the lows for copper, gold. Okay, and all of those lows, if you look at these green lines coming down, were around lows of the ISM. Okay, so I'm feeling like this is going to play out. It may take time, but I'm liking the look of this copper gold having these wicks at the lows. Okay, the fact the RSI is down low, and the fact that we've got gold and silver looking like tops. Let's call it as it is. They look like tops. I think everyone feels like they're tops, but markets can run longer than most people expect. So, you know, it could just be a correction for gold and silver that we're seeing happening right now, and we could see them spike higher into the coming weeks or month. But I think we're getting close. I think the most likely outcome is that gold and silver start to come down. Whether they push a little bit higher first, they'll start to come down. And I'm not saying that it's the absolute total top for them. It could be local tops, but the local top. I mean, these periods here, like this is monthly charts. Okay, so you know, several months, you know, maybe a year, you know, in these periods of copper outperforming gold. Okay, and those saw the risk on years within them, where lower cap stocks run really well. You see not just Bitcoin, but altcoins outperform as well. And that's what we're here for. That's what we're waiting for. So, yeah, if you're holding all your altcoins at the moment, maybe question which ones, okay? But if you're holding things, this is my personal belief, and it's not financial advice. I believe if you're holding things like Ethereum, Solana, Sui, you know, maybe a few others, strong ecosystems and ecosystem tokens, I believe they will come back when the market is ready for it to come back. Okay, and obviously at the moment that's not right now. Okay, but we could be at a macro turning point here. Okay, I think crypto's had a really bad time since 10th of October. With the crash, with the huge liquidations in the region of 20 billion. The Digital Asset Clarity Act is finding blockers in the House, the Senate, because the traditional banks don't want us to be able to get great yield on stablecoins. And then Brian Armstrong at Coinbase, he's made a statement that unless they're going to give the stablecoin yield, you know, Coinbase is not interested in supporting that bill. And they'd be happy to go back to, you know, crypto without that Digital Asset Clarity Act. Now, I think the Trump administration, they really want this to pass through. They've told everyone that America is going to be the crypto capital of the world, and I don't think that's easily done without having clarity in the US. Okay, now the bull side of this is that we've got a crypto SEC chair. We've got a crypto-friendly CFTC chair, so that's a Commodities Futures and Trade Commission, and now we've got a crypto-friendly Fed governor coming in this year, which is Kevin Warsh. Okay, I'm not sure how crypto-friendly he is, but he seems a bit pro-Bitcoin, which is good. So with all of that in play, and with all the all the traditional banks like all the big banks like BlackRock and JP Morgan and all that wanting to get into it. But I think, is it the fact that they just want what they want out of this industry, and they want to hold on to, the traditional banks want to hold on to the giving the yield for savings accounts, and they don't want people jumping ship from traditional banking to decentralized banking and getting yield on stable coins, and therefore just taking their money out of the bank, basically, and that's what they're worried about. So got all of these headwinds at the moment. Also, you've got government shutdown happening. You've got tariff uncertainty still floating about a little bit. Still geopolitics issues, but with all these things, sometimes while you've got all of this FUD going on, you sometimes get a news event that kind of calls a low. So let's see what happens over the coming weeks. Now back to some analysis. Titan of Crypto, he does some really good posts on X, actually. I suggest you give him a follow. Washi Gora, his tag is on there, at Washi Gorira. I think that's how you say it. But Titan Crypto, you search that, you'll find him. So brings up some great charts and everything. He's looking at his Fibonacci retracement, okay, being very similar, the 786, as it was in the 2021-2022 bear market, okay. Now, 4-year cycle enthusiasts will say, you know, the confirmation is there now. You know, it was a 4-year cycle. We topped in Q4, you know, even though we didn't have like a spectacular bull run, we didn't have an alt season, and we've still got a lot of these macro indicators, such as the copper gold, the ISM, and everything else that's telling us the business cycle has been extended, the debt cycle, the debt refinance cycle has been extended. Therefore, we can expect this to push out into this year and perhaps beyond. This chart indicating that we've already kind of reached a level that we reached as a retracement level back in 2022. Okay, now this is brilliant, great analysis, but does not mean, and I said this to him on X, does not mean we need to see a cyclical extended bear market bottom like we saw previously. We didn't have a huge run up, blow off top run up. We don't need as long to cool down, and I think with this being a midterm election year, obviously Trump's going to want the weaker dollar, which looks like it's happening. If we're going to get to that point, and lower rates, okay, potentially some easing measures coming in place. So it's a very different sort of circumstance, okay, and I think a reversal could be aggressive from here. And here's another reason why, okay, so gold versus Bitcoin, okay. Gold averages a 90% drawdown against Bitcoin over an average of 451 days in each cycle. From the point it rolls over after it fails a double bottom, is it ready to roll over? We have not had a lower low. This is the biggest double bottom attempt. Okay, so what we're saying here, and you may have seen me cover this on another video. Okay, so we had this drop, rise up. Can we form a double bottom? No, rolls over. Rolls over, down, you know, that drop there was like 99% over 230 days. This drop here was 99% over 399 days. Then we had this, okay, pattern again. So I'll stretch it up so you can see it's more of a like attempt of a double bottom, okay? So you had a low, rise up, low, failed, rolled over, okay? Down 99%. That one's over 651 days, okay? So these time periods can be very varied, okay? So again, you know, bottom, rise up, low, roll over, okay? Down 93% over 518 days. Now, this one is a big pattern. This is obviously the biggest, you know, structural pattern. If this is to play out like it did before, okay, and an invalidation of that would be, you know, a trend, an uptrend past this high, okay? Now, you've got the low, rise up, down to the lows, okay? It's rising up. And the confluence I have right now that tells me that this is going to come down is obviously you've got gold made a huge absolute parabolic move, okay, and you've got Bitcoin in the gutter, sentiment in the gutter, and you know, common sense would tell you that gold will roll over against Bitcoin. If you think about it, if Bitcoin can make an absolute huge recovery over this year, okay, and gold, you know, gold is only going to make them moves, you know, every number of years. You know, I couldn't put a number on it, but you know, it's if it's going to have a correction and go higher, that's one thing, okay. But in that time, Bitcoin could be making a recovery, and you know, when gold goes a little bit higher, Bitcoin corrects, that kind of thing. They don't always work like an inverse correlation, but they do tend to quite a bit. Now, if gold's, like I say, if gold's move's done and Bitcoin's moved down, it's technically done, perhaps, or close to it. Even if we go a little bit lower, you know, even if we go and test the old all-time high from 2021 and hold around that zone, I think there's going to be some strong buying support around that level. I'd be surprised if there wasn't. And so, yeah, gold's move's done. Bitcoin's move's about to happen. So let's expect that this is going to roll over. Okay. Another confluence, okay, is these lows, right? Okay. This low here, okay, which is technically on the part of the same pattern, okay, met with the high of the ISM in 2021. This low here met with around the highs of the ISM. Okay, let's make that a bit bigger so you can see it a bit more bolder. Okay, met with the highs of 2017. Okay, this low here met with, and I know it's really hard to see here, it met with the highs of around 2013. Okay, and the same here in 2011, which was another Bitcoin top. A lot of these were big Bitcoin tops. Okay, so the ISM has not gone over 50. Okay, and that is coinciding with this happening. This gives me a lot of confidence. Now, I can't tell you what's going to happen over the next couple of weeks or couple of months or anything, but I would say that I've got a lot of confidence that this will play out at some point. And like I say, I can't tell you, whether your altcoins are going to get wrecked against this. I don't know. When it comes to altcoins, you've literally got to base that on your own conviction in the altcoin market and which coins you're holding. But I would say Bitcoin is going to do that, and it's going to recover, and gold is going to come down. Okay, based on that. But like I say, not financial advice. This is just my views on the market, my views on these charts. So I've shown you copper, silver, copper, gold, gold, BTC. We'll now look at gold, BTC with copper, gold at the bottom here. As you can see, the lows meet the highs. Yeah, the lows meet the highs. The lows meet the highs. The lows meet the highs. We're right now at a low. Okay, so like I say, just another confluence that could play out. And then we've got Bitcoin dominance. Okay, when's your alt season going to come? Well, if copper, gold, copper, silver, gold, Bitcoin are all tying in with the ISM on a similar timing for risk on indication, okay, then we've got Bitcoin dominance. Okay, a much shorter history to go by. Okay, who's to say, altcoins will continue to do what copper, gold has done, and these precious metals that have been around for decades. Okay, when altcoins have only really been around since 2015. Okay, but what we saw was altcoins, Bitcoin dominance breaking down, a rise up of the ISM. Bitcoin dominance breaking down, a rise up of the ISM, and the timing is not perfect. Maybe there is a potential that the 4-year cycle plays out, and then we get this happen. So crypto's kind of already been in a bear market, since we could say October was the high for Bitcoin, but really, it was back in the summer of last year that crypto took its last real rise, and Bitcoin sort of stayed in that range there from like the summer to October, spiked a little bit higher, made a new all-time high, rejection, and then it was all collapsing down. So, who's to say that the 4-year cycle won't play out, and then we still get my thesis as correct. And this is the thesis that I get from a few people. I've got to give a big shout out to the Real Vision crew, Raoul Powell and Julian Bittel, because they put me onto the ISM. I saw something else about copper and gold, and I dug into it a lot deeper. Analysed all the precious metal charts, saw the correlation there with the ISM, saw the correlation there with crypto, and this is the thesis that I'm working on. It could be wrong, but neither price or time really is going to tell me that it's wrong. The only thing that could be that is that, and if you take on this thesis, is that you may have to sit through further downturn. Now, what's my strategy? That's important for me to tell you what my strategy is right now. Okay, if we go back to Bitcoin, if we do start to break this key support resistance, okay, I'll be exiting a number of altcoins and going back into ones that I've got higher conviction in. Okay, and now if we don't lose that, then I'm just going to continue holding. Now, I will still keep accumulating. I've been accumulating, okay, these lows here. I was around here, I was accumulating. I've been accumulating down here, okay. I'm still a strong believer that the crypto market is very successful in the near future. I think it's got all the rows. It's all there for the success, and it's just a matter of time. So that's what I'm doing. Like I say, total 3. Yeah, as we can see, the ISM led to the highs of previous cycles, as we've already covered. Okay, now effectively, okay, let's move my text there. Okay, total 3, excluding stablecoins against BTC. That's the top 10 crypto combined, excluding Bitcoin, ETH, and stablecoins. It's been in a bear market since 2021. Okay, it's been in a big downtrend. Okay, now when back in June of last year, okay, it found a low on this trend line, okay, and it's holding a higher low at the moment. So that's altcoins against BTC. So BTC's been having a rough ride. Obviously, alts have had a rough ride the whole time, but are we starting to see a little bit of strength? Okay, I know it don't seem like it recently, but like I say, this is holding this pattern here of total 3 against Bitcoin is holding strength. Okay, now it looks like it's breaking down there now, but will it hold on this line? Does it need to come down to that line? If the low is in for Bitcoin now, and we can start to find a footing and a recovery, you know, is there going to be a time for the altcoins to start breaking up? And we still got to break out of this pattern anyway. But it all could be a long way off. You know, it could be a wait. Could be time to, you know, accumulate some of those strong altcoins that you believe in. I know there's a lack of belief at the moment, but as I always say, it's easy to kick a dog when it's down. Okay, don't be one of those people. If you believe in this market and you believe in the projects that you're invested in, then, or even if you're a new buyer, okay, like I say, not financial advice, but you don't want to be buying when the prices are going crazy and everyone's loving it again. Everyone's saying crypto's the best thing, you know, it's going to make us loads of money. We're all going to get rich, you know, we're all going to have life-changing wealth and all of that. When people are not talking about that and people are being very fearful, okay, that is the time to accumulate and buy. And like I say, it's just extreme fear right now. Most times people bought extreme fear. Listen, it could always go lower. I'm not saying extreme fear calls lows. We had extreme fear about a month or two ago, okay? But over time, okay, so it doesn't matter if you had extreme fear for a few months ago, you had it again a month ago, and now you've got it again and it's lower, and each time it's gone lower, okay, because we all don't have a crystal ball. We can't predict the future, okay, but what you can do is DCA, okay, and now if you're dollar cost averaging all of the lows down, okay, and you know, many people say, you know, this is a cyclical bear market, we're going to bottom in Q4 of 2026. They don't know that for sure, okay? And like I say, if you just DCA and then hold on for the next upswing of the markets, you will be taking profits higher, okay? Now, others BTC, similar again. Again, it just tied up with the ISM, okay? And I expect when this ISM rises again, that will be when we see another alt season. So it would have been also, you know, others BTC also been in a bear market since 2021. You know, potentially the bottom is in on this trend line. You know, it's touched it 1, 2, 3, 4, you know, multiple times here now. It's been holding it. It's going to be interesting. But once this starts to break out, the gains will start printing. And, you know, is it going to happen? When's it going to happen? I don't know. I can't tell you that. But one thing I can tell you is that we have called, and it looks like it's happening, is we're starting to see the breakdown of the DXY, the US dollar index. Okay. This trend line's been here since 2008. Okay. Touched it 2008, 2011, 2013. And you know, didn't make it down there in 2017, but it did in 2021, and now it did in 2025. But we are still expecting a weaker dollar. Approximately 9 trillion of US Treasury debt is scheduled to mature in 2026, meaning that this amount will typically need to be refinanced, reissued, or paid down. They want a weaker dollar. Okay, and this is an 18-year trend line. Okay, and if it bangs on enough doors, it will get through. And another thing, oh, here's my trusty ISM at the bottom of the screen. I recommend doing this actually because it's quite interesting on what you see on certain charts. Okay, so when the DXY came down to its lows in 2021, that was a high of the ISM. Okay, 2017 it was, 2013 it was, 2011 it was, 2008 was a little bit different because, okay, the highs of the ISM were around 2004, 2005, and then the markets have been going higher into the globe before the GFC. Okay, and then but the point was of this is, see, this is the 50 level. Okay, around there. Okay, so the ISM had been above 50 all that time. So it wasn't the ISM wasn't higher. It sat above the 50 level till around when it broke down. It was around late 2007, which is when the stock market started to roll over, and then it collapsed further into the GFC financial crisis. So at the moment, we're at a low here. We haven't seen a boom in the ISM, okay? And that means that could the DXY come down right into 2026, okay? Maybe 27, okay? And then we've got the ISM climbing into it, meeting it there. This thing happens in waveforms. This is the lowest it's ever been for the longest. Sorry, not the lowest it's ever been. It's the longest it's ever been below 50. So let's have a little bit of faith there, okay? Now, looking at the housing market, okay? And the housing market, as I was saying, looks like it had this double top with a lower high, okay? Very similar to back here in 2005, 2006, okay? But what happened after that? So it had been following up with the stock market quite nicely. But when the housing market, okay, this is the housing sector for the US, okay? When that started to collapse, okay, the stock market continued, okay? It continued all the way into late 2007, okay? So if we look now, okay, you've got the housing market obviously looks like it's starting to roll over, okay, there with these lower highs, okay, and yet we've had, from the last correction, we've had the stock market going higher. But like I said, back in 2000, and this was 2005, 2006, stock market topping at end of 2007. Now we've got these highs at 2024, 2025. Can it go on till late 2026? Okay, and that would coincide with when we could expect the ISM to be reaching a peak, or maybe later than that. As I'm also saying, okay, could this be a tech bubble for the AI, robotics, and blockchain? Okay, now it's got this, it's coming close to a break of standard deviation. Okay, it's getting very close to doing so. It's testing the highs. It did around 2021. It was like a kind of mini bubble, like the post-COVID speculation. But what we're waiting for, what we're hoping for with the AI's influence on the stock market, is we get into real bubble territory where we break the standard deviation, okay, out of these channels that the stock market tends to hold, and take a real big rally up. Okay, and that could happen right into, so all these blue lines are like presidential elections, and we could see that happen right up into the end of Trump's era. Okay, it doesn't mean we can't have big corrections on the way, or bear markets, but that's what I see happening. I think it's more likely that coincides with the top of the ISM. So I don't think it goes all the way into the end of Trump's presidency in 2028. But like I say, 2026, 27, okay, this is what I see happening. This is why I want to stay in the markets, because I believe with the ISM and what we're seeing here, you could always, like I say, see the big corrections on the way, but it just seems like a positive time to still be invested. Okay, and it might seem like it's an awful decision to be in crypto right now. Like, you made the biggest mistake. Why didn't you buy gold? Why didn't you buy silver? Why didn't you buy Nvidia or something like that? But you have to sort of hold your conviction. And if you don't have conviction, then, you know, obviously you can exit and go and invest in something else elsewhere. But I still have my conviction that the crypto markets will do well. And this is just a difficult period we are going through. And crypto's done it before. It's been through many, many difficult periods before, and it's always come back harder and bigger and stronger. Now, looking at the Russell 2000, okay, which is the top 2000 lower cap stocks in the US, okay, it's just breaking out really. You know, this is on the weekly. So a number of weeks ago, started breaking out, and it's an uptrend. It's a clear uptrend on a breakout. Okay, it's tested these highs a number of times. It broke through, retested, and it's moving away. As it does in every election cycle, it moves away into a strong uptrend, breaking previous all-time highs in most election cycles. Okay, now what you'll see as well is that when the ISM breaks above 50, the pace really starts to pick up on the Russell 2000. Okay, like as we saw there, the pace picks up. Okay, and that's what we're waiting to see. So if it's just breaking out now, if we can start to see a higher ISM prints over the coming months, I'd expect to see this moving up, and I think that'll have a positive impact on crypto as well. And just so you all know, tomorrow, okay, the White House is set to meet with banks, crypto companies to broker legislation to compromise. As I was mentioning earlier on in the video, with the blockers on the stablecoin yield. Okay, I think the Trump administration wants to get everyone in the room, you know, hammer through it all and just say, what are we going to do? We need to get this bill passed. We all need to meet and have an agreement. I'm sure there's going to be some negotiation in there, and hopefully we'll have a positive tailwind to come out of that. Okay. Although we might be making lower lows in Bitcoin and elsewhere, okay, the total value locked in crypto in DeFi, okay, on all chains is still sitting at 208 billion. Okay. So we're still seeing higher lows, okay, coming back down to this trend line actually. So I do feel like that could get there. Like, where is that sitting? Sitting around 200 billion. Okay, so 200 billion is a strong level to watch. I think this level here around 192 billion as well. I'm not trying to do technical analysis on this too much, but just to show, it just shows me that there's health in the crypto market, that crypto's still a thing, okay, because it's had higher highs, it's just having another lower low. It's like, it's a trend, you know. So we'll see how that plays out as well. Now, stablecoins, okay, stablecoins have had a, you know, after seeing so many stablecoins minted throughout last year, okay, there's been a bit of a slowdown. Maybe that's a bit of a slowdown in liquidity in the crypto markets. Who knows? Are we going to start to see this pick up again? Okay, so, you know, but this at the moment it's dropping down. We'll see where that goes. A correction in stablecoin volume might be giving us this correction. I mean, when did this start? Look, October. Yeah, October, stablecoin market cap, okay, fell, and then, you know, liquidity was obviously leaving the crypto markets. Okay, now it can come back in just as quick as it leaves. Okay, so I'm not going to hold too much on that. Now, USDT dominance, okay, breaking this trend. Okay, not a great sign, not a great sign. Okay, as you'd know from some of my videos, I was saying, you know, when we get to stablecoin down here, you know, when we get USDT dominance down here, that'll be the party zone. Alt season's probably happening at that point. Okay, we never got down there. We've got down there a couple of times, touched it, never got down there. And, you know, the after party zone was definitely the places where we would be taking a lot of profits off the table. But you know what? No doubt at some point that will come. It's just a waiting game. Okay, I'm not, you know, totally convinced that this is completely going to go to the upside right now. But you know, who knows? Who knows? It could always be a fake out, then a drop down. Okay, we'll see. We'll see. So as you can see, that's my thesis. This is what I'm thinking in the markets. It's a long-term vision. It's a long-term view. Okay, it's not near term. I'm not, you know, being emotional and making irrational decisions based on the near-term price action. And I suggest, even if you're not thinking the same as me, you have that same sort of mindset, that you're like trying to be rational, trying to evaluate what's going on with the broader picture of the markets, okay? Not just what's going on, what people are saying on X or YouTube in the comments, Okay, you've got to have a broader view of what's going on. Okay, like the ISM, some of these indicators, like the ISM and the copper gold and the copper silver, gold BTC, all these things, these indications that they're giving to us that there's a possible reversal coming in a not too distant future. They're giving me the conviction to stay in the markets. And that's beyond all the fundamentals that I believe in about crypto. Okay, this is quite a technical outlook of it as well. Okay, I believe that you've got the economic setup as well, you know, with a new Fed chair coming, weaker dollar potential, and more rate cuts, inflation's coming down. There's many other things that tell me that I believe that this is going to carry on, and so I'm not going to be making rash decisions right now. Each your own, do your own research. Don't take any of this as financial advice. Like I say, this is just my view on the markets, and I hope you found some of that insightful. And yeah, if you don't mind, give us a like, give us a subscribe, and see you on the next video.